Hello, fourth grade. Welcome to fractions. Yeah, we're doing something new today. Fractions. You're gonna need 4 pieces of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4 that are all the same size. If there's something on one side but not the other, that's okay. So don't worry, if you have like some old scratch paper, if that's all you can find is like something from your parents that has something on one side, that's okay. I bet a lot of you have just like some blank typing paper if you ask your parents. And I tried to give you a lot of paper in the fall, so hopefully you have 4 pieces of paper. 4 pieces of paper. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at fractions. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take one piece of paper. This is the whole thing. So a whole could be a whole, all kinds of stuff. A whole pizza, a whole donut, a whole yard, whatever it is. In this case, we're talking about the whole piece of paper. That's the whole. W-H-O-L-E, whole. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it in half. So please turn it and fold it. This would be hamburger style. So hot dog's the skinny side, we're gonna do hamburger style. Fold it in half. And once you fold it in half, with your scissors, you're gonna cut it in half as best you can. Just try to cut right along the crease. And then I'm going to write 1/2 on both sides because I just cut it in half. So I cut the whole in half. I've got half here and half here. Notice how a half is big. Even though it says 2, which you think of as a small number, a half is big. It's half of the whole. It's half. Big deal. Halves are big. Now we're gonna do the same fold next piece of paper, the hamburger style. But guess what? We're gonna fold it one more time. So you did that fold just like last time. And now you're gonna do one more fold. So again, hamburger style, not hot dog, hamburger. And now I can unfold it, and guess what? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces there. Anybody know what I'm gonna write on these? I fold it into quarters. So I'm gonna cut as best I can. Right along the line. It's kind of hard, it's not easy. So I just cut this piece of paper into 4 equal pieces. So these are going to be fourths. There's a fourth, there's a fourth, there's a fourth, there's a fourth. So now I've got 2 halves and 4 fourths, a little smaller. I've got my halves, my fourths. Next, I'm going to get another piece of paper, do the same folds again. Normally in class, we take turns, we do this in groups, but because we're just ourselves today, we're just going to do it ourselves. So first comes one hamburger fold, then another hamburger fold, and now I'm going to do another hamburger fold. So not hot dog, hamburger. If you do hot dog, it would actually work that way too. Let's just all try to do the same thing. Does anybody have an idea what I just did there? I just folded that into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So each one of these are going to be an 1/8. Notice how an 1/8 is smaller than a fourth. In fact, it's half the size of a fourth. So as that number on the bottom, the denominator, gets to be what you'd normally think of as a bigger number, it actually means it's just being cut into smaller and smaller pieces. It means I cut this into 8 pieces. So the more pieces you cut it up into, the smaller it gets. If I cut this into 1,000 pieces, then it'd be 1,000th, and that would be a tiny little piece of paper. If I cut into 1,000,000 pieces, it'd be really tiny, but I just cut this one into 8 pieces. So when we're doing fractions, the number up top means how many you're talking about. I've got 1 here. The number on the bottom means how many pieces it's been cut into, how many equal pieces. Well, it's an eighth. So that's an eighth, that's an eighth, that's an eighth. So please label these just like I'm doing. That's an eighth, that's an eighth, that's an eighth. And I'm going to do that until I have them all an eighth. So I had a whole and I cut into 8 equal pieces. So each one is also called an eighth. So I think it used to look like, how did it look? I guess it looked like that. So guess what? 1/8 plus an eighth, how many eighths do I have? I've got 2 eighths. Plus another eighth, that's 3 eighths. Plus another eighth, 4 eighths. But right now we're just cutting them all up into eighths. And there's one last one to do. So I have got halves, quarters, eighths. Notice how the number, as it gets bigger on the bottom, it just means you cut into more and more pieces, so they actually get tinier. And next up are going to be 16ths, the tiniest one. So see if you can do all your folds again. Remember, it's always hamburger, never hot dog. Hamburger. First one, just fold in half. Another hamburger, folded into quarters. Another hamburger, fold into eighths. And one last hamburger fold. It's going to be kind of tight. Let's fold into 16ths. Ah. Okay. For this one, I think I'm actually going to label it before I cut it, just to make it easier myself. That's a 16th. That's a 16th. That's a 16th. That's a 16th. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pieces we just folded this into. So I need to label each one. And you can pause right now. You could be doing this as you watch the video. I know this is I can't do it immediately unless I had an assistant. So I'm going to cut these all into 16ths. I'm going to cut all the way up. And then I'm going to cut each one. And then eventually, once I do that 4 times, I'll have 16 pieces. And I'm going to be careful to try to cut right on the lines. So I think you get the idea. Maybe to save time, I won't cut each one out right now, but you will. You're going to cut all 16 into 16 pieces. So then you have your 16ths. Notice how a 16th is way smaller than a half. Whoa, look how much bigger a half is than a 16th. Because I cut the half only into 2 pieces, I cut the 16ths into 16 pieces. So with your assignment today, you're going to be using your pieces. And I might say, how many 16ths are in a quarter? And you can take your pieces, and you can go, well, let's see, 1, 2, 4. And you'll say 4 16ths are in a quarter, Daniel. And what that means, the way you write that is like this. You say 4 16ths equals a quarter. So the bottom is the size of the piece. They're 16ths, they're little guys. The number up top is how many do you have? I've got 4 of them. So if I say 1/2 equals how many eighths? Okay, we'll have to find my half. And then I'll find my eighths. How many eighths do you think are going to fit in a half? Well, let's see. There's 1 and 2. So 2 eighths. 1/2 equals 2 eighths. And notice how if I put one here, then I'd be like, I don't know. So you need to kind of like move them around until they fit just perfectly. Or if I say, how many 16ths fit into 1/8? Okay, well then I need to get my 1/8 out. And then I get out my little 16ths. They're so tiny and cute. 1, 2. 2 16ths equal an 1/8. So that's the kind of thing you're going to be doing today. So first you need to cut out your 2 big halves, your 4 medium-sized fourths, your 8 small eighths and your 16 little 16ths. And then you can do the assignment.